Desk in Austin, Texas. Joining me for this segment, we have Matt Hougan. He is the Chief Investment Officer over at Bitwise. We're going to take a look at this focus in Web3 and all the opportunity that comes along with it. Matt, it is great to see you again. Welcome back to Trade Talks.
Glad to be back.
Just travel the country and go to conferences and hook up. And there's just such an overwhelming interest in crypto institutions and enterprises. Is it only growing despite the volatility that we've seen in the space?
Yeah, it is consistent. Even though the markets are down, the level of interest is up. You know, it's really different from 3 years ago, the last time the crypto markets fell in 2018. At that time, the institutions we talked to asked us questions like, is crypto going away? Is the government going to regulate it out of existence? The questions this time are entirely different. It's, should I buy now? Are we at the bottom of the pullback? Should I be buying the dip? People know crypto's not going away, and so they still want to learn, and they're still allocating to this space. Maybe just a little bit slower than 6 months ago.
And the innovation occurring in the blockchain-based gaming space, I think, is really interesting.
Yeah.
You see a lot of the exhibits here have some pretty cool stuff. What is it about Web3 that is driving interest from VC, from game studios, developers, users?
Yeah, look, one of the fundamental things that crypto and blockchain does is it introduces the ability to have digital property rights, to own something in a digital setting and move it from here to there. In the gaming space, you've never been able to do that. You used to be able to buy a skin or something from the company, but you couldn't move it from one ecosystem to another. That's a really big idea. That opens up whole new economies, and people think it will revolutionize the digital gaming space in a major way, because all of a sudden, you can earn value, you can move value, you can have economies, you can have jobs. It's one other example of how crypto and the core ideas of what it can do can change multiple different industries, not just finance, but gaming, art, culture, and a lot else.
I mean, if you're part of the creator community right now, it is an exciting place to be. And speaking of that, the sheer amount of talent pouring into the crypto industry is also a force to be reckoned with. How do you see it evolving?
Yeah, it's only going to grow. Look, crypto and blockchain is one of the most important transformational ideas that's happened in the last 20 or 30 years. Introducing digital property rights, allowing money to move over the internet, allowing you to program money like software, reinventing how creators can connect with their customers. These are generation-shaping ideas. So you're going to continue to see a flood of talent coming out of Wall Street, coming out of the creative space, coming out of the venture space, coming out of the software space. They're all going into crypto because these are some of the biggest new ideas that exist in today's market.
At a recent DC conference, one of the overarching themes was, how do you define a security within digital assets? Why is this such a challenge to define a clear path?
Well, because the securities laws were written 80 years ago about orange groves, and now we're trying to apply them to digital assets, which have only been around for 13 years. We shouldn't be surprised that they don't fit cleanly into an 80-year-old box. It was a good box, it had its utility. I think the crypto digital economy needs its own set of regulations to define how we match investor protections with protecting entrepreneurial innovation in the space. I think it's going to be very hard to shoehorn it in to a traditional securities box.
Tell us about the newly launched Metaverse ETF.
Yeah, we're really excited. We launched the first crypto metaverse fund. You need crypto assets to build an open metaverse product. We partnered with two real thought leaders, Matthew Ball, who is the thought leader on the metaverse that every CEO turns to when they want to understand what this is, and Multicoin Capital, which is one of the leading crypto venture funds in the world. We got our heads together and built the best possible metaverse index. Makes it possible for qualified purchasers to get exposure to a theme that I think will change the world in meaningful ways, not in the next year, not in the next 2 years, but certainly in the next 5 and 10. You know, Citigroup called it a $13 trillion opportunity. That's a pretty big number, and so we're excited to have the first metaverse crypto index fund in the world.
That is exciting. I mean, just think about it in this little ecosystem that we're at today, just how consensus has grown over the past 12 to 13 years. I mean, we were in a massive space in Austin, Texas, and I remember covering it in New York in 2018, 2019. We were just like in a hotel.
That's right.
So and the different types of companies that are here. We weren't talking about the metaverse, and now we have an entire metaverse zone at the other end of the conference center here. So I think the different types of companies within the ecosystem, and it's only growing. We could be having a different conversation next year.
We will be, because these are big new ideas, and you have a huge number of smart people out here building on them, and that's just a wonderfully creative landscape. It's absolutely going to continue to evolve, and I think this conference and other conferences like this will be bigger in the future. The space is only getting bigger from here.
Right. Great, Matt. Thanks so much for joining us on Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.